Right, okay, so let's get started. Okay, so as usual, what we'll do is I'll keep you updated on some of the trades that we talk about, we executed yesterday in the previous session. And of course, update you on the performance, any results, and what we'll do next after that is to look at today's market and to share with you some potential trade that you can consider. All right, so let me update the date. Today is the 21st of January. Okay, so based on yesterday trades that we share, of course, there are still some other running trades. Okay, first off here, there are two trades that have a result. One is pound dollar. We got out at negative 35 pips, which hits and tags our stop loss, right? And the other one is on New Zealand dollar, which we got out at the negative 30 pips, right? So let me share with you where this two trade is. Okay, so you can see over here, this is on pound dollar. Pound dollar is a trade that we talked about it on Monday. Not so much of it is actually yesterday, right? We talked about this on Monday. Okay, and the reason for us to enter on Monday is really based on this technique here called, let me take my notes out. Okay, give me a moment. Okay, I need to draw it in, right? So let me use the MT4. Okay, just a quick recap, right? This trade here was based on this double top. Okay, and then of course what we did was a 2618 strategy where we wait for a retracement towards the 61.8. Okay, so this didn't really work out. You can see price just went all the way back up. Okay, and as of now, okay, so this is where the trade was getting in and out, right? So as of now, what you do see is that on a higher time frame, we might be seeing this triple top formation. Okay, whether this is gonna be like really the triple top, we do not know for sure now yet because it's not confirmed. Okay, but at the same time, we do see another price rejection from here, from this high. So we might eventually still see price going lower. Okay, the only part here you want to be a bit concerned on is that if you're looking to short, of course, okay, is that you do have this high, okay, but at the same time, your momentum is pretty strong over here, right? You can see. Okay, so from that perspective, you might want to be a little bit cautious if you're looking to short. But having said that, we do have some key nice levels to consider. Okay, the real part here is of course you're taking the consideration of this is potentially a double top or even a triple top. Okay, and then you see a first drop here, and of course you're considering somewhere around this zone at the H3 and the 618. Okay, that's definitely a little bit more aggressive in the entry technique if you're looking at that. Okay, so you might want to be a bit cautious if you're looking for that kind of entry. Okay, this is on pound dollar. Quickly to update you on the trade that we had, right? And we'll go into details after we talk about all these trades. Okay, another one was New Zealand dollar. So you see here, we took this trade sell. It was a pretty okay one, which we had about 10 pips, 15 pips of profit. Hey, but in all this sharing here, I don't usually just manage it. Okay, I usually just in the morning I just set in and then that's it. I'll leave the order running all the way until next day, and then we'll come in and take a look at it, right? So while we have some decent profits, about 15 to 20 pips, I just leave that trade, never really touch it. And after that, price just ready, and then we got up at this high. Okay, a very quick update on why we took this trade. Okay, would I take it again eventually? The answer is still yes. Okay, because sometimes you need to let probability play out, right? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So this one over here, the trade that we took was based on this ABCD. Okay, we talk about this equal move, and of course we also talk about how we do have this structure level here, right? Okay, but you see price just went up all the way. And you do realize that the New Zealand dollar is actually going higher, okay, because of risk on environment, which we saw the US stock market actually yesterday was pretty positive, right? There's a positive sentiment to it. And that's pushing price to the upside for both the risk on currencies. This includes like your Aussie and New Zealand. All right. So this is a two quick update. We still have two trades running. One of it is actually euro dollar. Okay. This was executed on Monday. The trade actually went pretty decent. We had like about close to 50 plus to 60 pips of profit. Okay, but I say usually we don't touch it, right? But for now, I would suggest, if for those of you who are following, just to shift stops to break even, okay, and see how this plays out. Because after, for an intraday basis, after a 50 plus pips move, usually you want to just protect the trade. Anyway, okay, the target here, I'll just shift up a little bit to today's L4 level, okay, just to see how this trade plays out. Okay, I'm gonna leave this here. The other one is we have Australia dollar running. This was shared yesterday. Again, the reason for us to enter was a simple ABCD structure. Okay, adding on to that, of course, we have this Fibonacci level, right? So that's where we talk about it, 61. So of course, right now we are in a small dip right now on this trade. Okay, but I'll walk you through in detail. But right now, nothing much you'll be able to do about this. We're just gonna leave this here. Okay, so that's a quick update on some of the trades that we had. Okay, I'll keep you guys updated on a week-to-week basis on the Google PPT as well, right? Okay, so let's get started with today's analysis. Okay, first off, euro dollar. I think on a big picture perspective, euro dollar is still potentially going lower. Okay, there's still the possibility of it going lower. On a 30-minute scale, you do see that we have a mini divergence here as well. Okay, but of course, this divergence here has already been taken place. Price has already dipped, and right now it's doing a retracement. Okay, so we do have this running trade over here, and as of now, I don't really see a very strong setup, okay, that I will personally consider. I would say one of the trade perhaps to take a look at, I think it's a little bit perhaps early right now. Okay, it's a potential godly pattern where you do see that this leg here comes in at the 618 retracement of this move, and the next level here to take a short is of course at the 786, okay, which is a completion of godly, and that confluence with a H5 camarilla level for today. Okay, this how it looks like on a bigger scale. I think this here, I would put in the order. Okay, perhaps those of you who doesn't have any trade on euro dollar can consider this as well. Okay, the nice thing about this, of course, we do have some confluence over here on the higher time frame. We are still looking for the big picture short. Okay, on the 4 hour, of course, all right, you can see that we are in the downtrend, so we are still technically looking for a direction to short it. Okay, if I were to put in the triangles to show you the completion of the pattern, it looks something like this. Okay, pretty decent. So this is definitely one of the trade that I will personally consider to take it. All right, so let me put this into today's PPT, right? So let me update this. This is on euro dollar. Okay, this will be a bearish one. We'll look to sell 1.2185. Okay, the stops is gonna go above this leg here, right? Which is gonna be 2225. 2225. Right, so that's about 40 pips. Pretty okay, pretty decent. For me, the target, I'm gonna put it at L3. Hey, for this trade here, of course, the traditional way of looking at it is for harmonic pattern, you just pull your Fib entry like that. And usually you will take a look at like 382 or even the 618. Okay, but for me, because I'm utilizing this to also follow the bigger trend, okay, so I'm gonna look at L3 for today for that key level, and that will end up at 2080, right? 1.2080. Right, so let me take a screenshot. Let me just hide the levels that we are running now so don't confuse you. Okay, okay, so let me put this in. Euro dollar. All right, so this is the first trade to consider for today. Taking a look at from where we are right now to perhaps the entry is about 60 pips, right? So we might get involved today, we might not. So this is something that you need to be maybe a little bit patient. Okay, so let me put in that trade. Entry 1.2185, 2225 is the stops, and the target here is 2085. Okay, so this is the first trade for today. Let's take a look at pound dollar. Okay, so pound dollar here, I personally wouldn't be taking this trade. Okay, just now we talked about it briefly, right? About the 618. I wouldn't be taking that. I think to me that's a little bit aggressive. Okay, but at the same time, we don't really have any other setup. Okay, so for now, I'll just leave this trade running and see how it goes. For some of you who are perhaps a little bit more aggressive, you can consider taking a break of this low here. Okay, this is actually playing on a higher time frame, right? Because you are looking at, okay, there's a potential triple top formation, you have a potential rising low, okay, and the direction that you are forecasting is down, right? So you might want to consider perhaps, okay, to take the breakout of this. Okay, to take a breakout of this, and of course, with that, your stop has to go here, right? So that to me, is a little bit wide for an intraday perspective. So I won't be taking this. Okay, just wanted to share with you that there's a potential key level you want to consider if you want to execute trades. This would be at the L3 level confluence with the previous low as well. Okay, I won't be personally looking at that. Okay, all dollar. Okay, right now we have this trade here running in about like 15 pips in the loss. Okay, I'm gonna leave that trade running. As of now, we do have a potential pattern forming. Okay, the thing about Aussie dollar here is that on the higher time frame is really in a range, right? Okay, and it's not really giving us much sense of direction. I think I talked about this briefly yesterday as well. Okay, so the part here is if it's in a range, then some of these harmonic patterns might come in handy. Okay, and right now on the 30-minute, we do have a potential bad pattern that we can consider. Okay, it looks something like this, and the bad pattern completes at the 886, which let me just take away those levels to clean up the chart, which comes in pretty close towards this H4 camarilla level. The idea here is we are getting very close to it, right? So that's about 20 pips. Okay, so there's a very high possibility price can go in and tag it. Okay, and what you want to also look at is there's a divergence forming, okay, as price is going up. So all this helps to add up the statistics and the probability that this bearish bet might be a decent trade. Okay, the stops is definitely going to go above this high here, which is for now, this level is around 7805, right? So the kind of right range between your entry and stop is about 20 pips. That's very, very decent for a trade, for an intraday trade. Okay, you want to keep your stop loss tight for an intraday basis, right? The target here, if I were to take this trade, I would just look to capitalize it at the L3 level. Okay, I wouldn't be too ambitious. Okay, so L3 level here, of course, if I put in that fib, it's somewhere around the 618. Okay, 50, 618, right? 50, right? So 618 is actually way lower here, but I'll be more than happy to capitalize it on this level. With that, you can see the risk reward is already very worth it, right? It's about 60 plus. Okay, so this is something that I will consider for today, right? One of the intraday trade on Aussie dollar. Okay, I'll put that in over here as well. Okay, so this is going to be a bearish trade. The entry is 7790. I might front run it a bit, right? 75. Okay, I like nice numbers. So this is, yeah, okay, I'll put it at 7790. Okay, stop is at 7805. Okay, the target here is 7725. Right, so this here you can see that's about 15 pips, pretty tight, I would say. Yeah, it's about 15 pips. Okay, but that's perfectly fine. Okay, for an intraday basis. Okay, this is how it looks like. This image is a bit big, right? Okay, so this is where I'm gonna put in that order. Okay, so this is 7790. The stop is 7805. Okay, and the target here is 7725. Okay, so that's how it looks like. This is the second trade on Aussie dollar today. New Zealand dollar right now, there isn't any potential level to consider for today, right? It's still technically in a bearish trend, okay? Unless this high is taken off, we still have a lower low, lower high. So we are still in a bearish trend, okay? But for now, there's no setup, there's no key levels that I'm looking at. There's no confluences and things like that. So I'm just gonna leave this here, okay? Very similar here is the dollar CAD. If you take a look at the higher time frame, we are basically in a range environment, okay? So no setup for today, no key levels that really stands out. So I'm gonna leave it here. Okay. Next up is the dollar yen. Okay. You can see that it's slowly creeping lower. Okay, but for now, there really isn't much of a trade to consider. Perhaps the only one here you might want to take note of is a ABCD pattern. That looks like that. Okay, but I think for an intraday basis, the stop is going to be too wide. Okay, you wouldn't want to take that. So for now, nothing much on the dollar yen as well. Okay, there's no key levels for us to really consider. So I'm going to leave it there. Okay, gold yesterday did push up. Okay, we saw a general weakness in the dollar yesterday. Okay, I think that's with the positive sentiment from the stock market. Usually there's a slight correlation there, right? When the stock market rally, the currency will drop, and then of course risk on environment and things like that. And gold, because of the weakness of the dollar, actually got pushed higher. Okay, but from a bigger time frame perspective, this is not something that I will consider a much significant push. Okay, from an intraday perspective, there's really no key levels that we can really consider for today. Okay, so for now, I'm just gonna leave it as of now, just like that. So if you take a look at today's quick summary, right, I think there are only two trades that we want to consider. There are two trades still running. Okay, these two trades here, they are both harmonic patterns. One of it is a godly, one of it is a bad. Okay, so again, you do realize that on this kind of like series here that we are doing on every Tuesday and Thursday, right, we are talking about major pairs. Okay, and all of them have the dollar inside it, so you want to take note of that exposure that you are involved. Okay, especially if we have trades that are running in the same direction. Usually when one doesn't work out, majority of it might not work out as what we want because of the dollar. Okay, but we also analyze each pair independently at the same time. Okay, just that when we are doing our execution, you want to take note of that risk exposure. All right, so for me, I'll keep you guys updated as usual. Okay, and usually I don't manage my position, right? So it's more like after I share with you, I put in the orders, I just leave it running until like the next day, and then I come back in the morning, like 5 minutes before we start this session. I'll just take a look at some of the positions, see how they do, and that's about it. Okay, but obviously that's not the most ideal management approach. Okay, because as an intraday basis, you want to actively manage it, because you are short term, right? These trades are meant to be short term. Okay, but for me, I have the personality of tend to set and forget kind of like style of trading. Okay, so that's how I deal with it. Okay, but of course, if you guys would like to actively manage it, by all means do that, right? According to your personality, according to your style, according to your plan. right? So that's all for me in today's episode. Okay, definitely we don't have a really good start for the week, right? But that's common. Okay, I've seen like a consecutive few losses, and then after that we have a few consecutive wins, and then easily with the strategy that we have, with the risk reward that we have in our plans, you just easily cover all these drawdowns with like just a few solid trades. Okay. So nothing too much to worry about it. But of course, for those of you who are perhaps a little bit new, okay, this might be a good training for you guys, right? Especially from an emotional point of view, and the psychology perspective, right? So that's all for me. Okay, usually we run this episode from Tuesday to Thursday. Okay, so tomorrow is Friday. Okay, so tomorrow we won't have something like this. Usually the market is a bit quiet on Monday and Friday. Okay, so yeah. Okay, so just do take note of that. Each week we're only running 3 episodes on this. So I'm gonna see you guys next week on Tuesday itself. Okay, so that's all for me, and I'll see you guys next week. Have a great week and ahead, and enjoy yourself, right? All the best to your trading as well, and see you guys.